All right, all you freedom-loving boys and girls. This is not a live stream, but welcome to Centerline Systems. We wanted to do this as a live stream, but we kind of just, the scheduling isn't going to work out between now and the end of the year. And I wanted to bring Murph, aka Murph Nuge, back on because I've had some people asking about the charity auction we did for the Seymour Young Marines. Matter of fact, I'm just going to shut up. Murph, why don't you just remind everybody what the Seymour Young Marines, who you guys are. We auctioned the very first one of our rucksacks, and he's wearing the pattern right now. It's called duck, duck skin, but frog skin is the actual kind of World War II name. But then somebody in the, one of the viewers referenced it as, instead of frog skin, as tadpole because of the Seymour Young Marines. So maybe Murph, you just want to tell a quick little story there, and then honestly. Here, I'm just going to say this real quickly. Two things. So first and foremost, this was kind of, we were able to throw this together today, but Murph, being a good, enlisted Marine, NCO that he is, decided to F with me and sent me like all the pictures at the last second. So I just was like mad PowerPoint and using all my PowerPoint Ranger skills. I got a little PowerPoint together. Murph's going to give his commentary. But hey, to the winner of the person who's winning auction or winning ticket, won the frog skin, Gerhard. Man, are you still alive? Are you out there? Give us some love. Show us some pictures. Post something. Send me a picture so we can post it. Because that pattern that Murph has on in his shirt, and then if you hold that little pouch up, look at that, showing off his guns. And then there's one I made for him.
Kind of hard to see with the lighting, I know, but yeah.
Yeah, just twist it towards your other. There you go. There you go.
There you go. Right there.
And then I made him a pouch for Christmas, just as
And I appreciate that. That thing's so cool. I used it this weekend actually.
Yeah, good. Well, all right, Murph. So tell everybody, again, remind everybody just real quickly who you are, what the Seymour Young Marines, and what that charity auction was all about.
Yeah, so Murph, former Marine, ended up. My daughter decided she wanted to kind of follow that route to a degree right now, while she can at this age, and it's a 501c3 nonprofit. It's a non-government organization. It is funded by the Marine Corps League and to an extent the Marine Corps themselves, and it's for ages 8 to 18, and the Young Marines is a leadership program and a drug demand reduction program, kind of similar to like DARE. So they keep kids off drugs, but they also educate on leadership. It is not a pipeline to the military. It's not a recruiting tool. They actually do not push kids into the military at all. But our Seymour Young Marines is our unit's detachment of the Young Marines overall. Like, it's a national thing.
Yeah. And again, go back and watch. I know it sounds stupid to watch like the drawing or something, the event's already over.
I'll let her in.
But you get to meet a bunch of, he's got to go let his poochie in. Before we started this, he let his dog out, and he's like, I'm probably going to have to run away and let the dog in. He's got a new dog.
Yeah, we're still learning each other's manners. It's horrible. Sorry.
No, but if you want, go back and watch that. You'll get to see a bunch of the Young Marines. Well, it was live at that time, and you get to hear a little bit more of their program. And we popped up the Young Marines in general, and then the Seymour Young Marines and all their contact information. And thanks to all of you great guys and gals who participated, and a bunch of you even went offline and did your own donations. Regardless of the charity auction that we did, which, excuse me, mineral water kind of getting to me, but that was awesome. And we, all of you guys and gals helped raise some money to get these great kids over to Pearl Harbor for the Pearl Harbor anniversary and the celebrations, which just ended. And on that note, Murph, I don't know if you want to talk about that just a tad more, or should I just pull up the PowerPoint and we just jump right into it?
Well, I do want to say thank you again to everybody that donated, because man, we had plenty of money to actually enjoy ourselves. And all that money basically made sure that these kids could all get there. So that went for airfare, that went for the Airbnb, because it's cheaper when you're, putting up 15, 16 kids in housing. You're not doing it in a hotel every night. You're doing it in an Airbnb. We had I think I might have sent you a picture of that. I don't know, our little Airbnb area. We were very, very fortunate to get a good spot there. And, you know, it went for that. It went for gas money for the rental cars. It went for the rental cars themselves. I mean, that money goes towards everything. So basically all these kids have to do is do the fundraising on their own side to get themselves there and show up with fun coupons. They got to be able to buy, you know, souvenirs. So that helped us go worry free.
Well, and judging by the pictures, I think it was just like I kind of assumed it was going to be, you know, potentially, you know, just like, you know, a very, you know, seminal or just, you know, pivotal moment or a huge moment in the lives of these kids to be over there in Pearl. And we're gonna show you some of the photos that Murph had took here. And you're welcome. Thanks for letting us be a part of your charity. And we're just, you know, I'm speaking for everybody who donated. You know, I feel safe in speaking for everyone who donated. You know, glad to be a part of it. Glad to see this program exists, and glad to see that those kids got to get over there and experience that, because that is definitely a bucket list type of opportunity. So let's share. Go ahead.
I had no idea, because honestly, like I said, I've been there several times before with the Marine Corps, and you know, you guys don't travel with the Navy, but like the Marine Corps, when we travel with the Navy, we're on their ships, and the minute we hit port, we want the hell out of there so that we can go drink and be away from the Navy. Other than our corpsmen, right? We want away from those guys. And so when I was over there the other times, I think I was there 3 times. I never seen anything but basically the inside of a bar. So when my daughter got the chance to go, I was like, well, this is going to be historic. It's going to be service projects. It's going to be educational. Like, I'm down. So I got to see way more this time with them in like 7 or 8 days than I got to see the entire 2 or 3 other times I was there with the Marine Corps. And I probably had more access at the time as a Marine. Now going as a chaperone, I still got to see more. It was crazy.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you just probably, you know, again, you weren't thinking about, hey, this is historic, me being here, and I want to take advantage. You're like, I just want to get off, you know, float and just go get drunk and, you know, and whatever. So, all right, here we go. Let's bring this to the stage. All right. So yeah, just tell us what we're seeing here, and I'm just going to kind of follow your lead, and I'll just be moving the slides through as we're talking.
Okay. So that's our 15 kids that we took, and we had all the adult chaperones. A lot of these are out of the picture, so you won't see us. We had 15 kids there. That was right before we stepped off for a unit hike, but it's the entire Young Marines. So every Young Marines unit that was there were like 300 Young Marines there. That was 15 of those 300 Young Marines getting ready to go on a big hike on K Bay, that was at Kaneohe Bay there for the Marine Corps. And they allowed us on their base several times. We got to go up on a little hike right there by North Beach to their radar installation and do a kind of a community team building hike to kind of break the ice for these kids, because a lot of them don't know each other. You know, my daughter's got little group chats with some of them that she's friends with, but these guys there was plenty from Ohio. There was a Texas unit there. Man, they were all over the place. It was crazy to see these kids.
Yeah, so this isn't just the Seymour Young Marines here. These are Young Marines.
Well, that one is just Seymour, but I'm saying like they were going on a hike right after this picture with a bunch of other ones.
Gotcha, that part. Okay, yeah. So this is all the Seymour Young Marines getting ready to go hiking with a bunch of kids from other Young Marine groups. Okay.
And if you remember right too, all those kids that were in that picture all of them were in that drawing that we did. So the kids that were in the drawing that we did for Gerhard, they were all here at this trip. They all got to go.
Oh, every one of them. That's awesome. Good to go. Good to go. All right, here we go.
The Marines of Kaneohe Bay, or I don't even know how you say it, because I can't pronounce anything over there. So they were cool enough to host a static display, and we got to go hang out in the Osprey. And that was as close as I ever want to be to that vehicle, was just standing in it and get out, from what I understand. And so my daughter got to do some cool guy posing in it. That was pretty cool.
Just as long as you weren't airborne.
Yeah. So exactly. So this is in the fuselage of the Osprey.
All right.
This was okay. So my daughter got promoted to gunnery sergeant in the Young Marines, which is, you know, man, there's a lot of work that goes into that. But it was right there at their version of the Iwo Jima statue and monument, right at the entrance to Kaneohe Bay.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that was right after she got promoted.
Yeah, that's pretty badass. And that's everybody. Again, we're looking at all the kids from the Seymour Young Marines, right?
Yep, that's all still Seymour Young Marines.
Gotcha. All right. Oh, look at
proof,
that.
proof that I wore a Hawaiian shirt because nobody thought I was actually going to show up with one. And I almost, man, I'll tell you real quick as a side, I ordered the same people I ordered this shirt from, I ordered an actual Hawaiian shirt that had like bombs and tikis and grenades on it. And it was low key. I almost wore it for this instead. But I thought, man, we're going to talk about that pack and we're going to talk about that cool gift you gave me. I wanted to wear some frog skin. So I had to borrow this one off a lady I work with. It was like one of her ex-husbands or something. So this shirt's like from the 50s or 60s, and she let me wear it over there. And so we were on the way out to the Arizona during this picture.
That's pretty cool. And it is nice to see that you actually can wear a relaxed shirt.
Like something not tactical. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. All right. What do we got here? We got a whole bunch of hang looses going on. This is definitely way more than just the Seymour Young Marines here.
Man, way more. Yeah, this was all the unit. They on Pearl Harbor Day. I don't know what it's officially called, but basically that day, the anniversary, Kaneohe Bay and all the bases around there host some kind of remembrance ceremony. And this was the base commander. I can't remember his name. I just remember they called him Jeremy. Like whoever was announcing called him Jeremy or Jeremiah. And he's the base commander. He was really cool with our young Marines and all the units that were present. It was an optional ceremony for them. They didn't have to be there, but we got there at like 5 a.m. and we were part of this. It was really cool. He talked to all of them. I mean, answered all their questions. He asked them some questions, and it was kind of funny because he asked them some trivia. And my daughter was the only one that raised her hand when they said, "Hey, where was the Marine Corps founded?" Well, they all thought he was talking about the Young Marines. So they're like, "Oh, I think it's Waterbury, Connecticut." And they're like, "Oh, Connecticut." And he's like, "No, I don't know about that." He's like, "I'm talking about the actual Marines, like the original Marine Corps. Where were they founded?" And my daughter's standing over there just raising her hand, just smiling. And he calls on her. And as soon as she says Ton Tavern, Pennsylvania, he lit up. He's like, "That's awesome that you know that." He goes, I'm a Philly boy myself." He goes, "That's awesome." He said, "Thanks." So he was a cool dude. Outstanding Marine from everything I've heard about him. And like he like I said, he even told the kids, he's like, "We're going to do the hang loose. We're going to do the shaka together. So we're going to chill out and just say shaka." And they all did it. So yeah.
All right. That's pretty cool. That's pretty
cool. And shout out to him for hosting us. He allowed us on that base. He was really cool about letting us in there.
Yeah, because that doesn't always have to happen. And that's that's not the norm, No.
Yeah, exactly.
Because again, you guys aren't affiliated with the Marine Corps. You're just civilians to them.
Yeah, to them, we're just civilians. But like I said, we also are, to a degree, funded by the Marine Corps, but also the Marine Corps League, but not to him personally. He doesn't owe us anything.
Yeah.
As far as this here is I can't remember the official title of it, but they call it the Punch Bowl. And if you look it up, it's where all the Marines, all the sailors, soldiers, Army, whatever, Marines, anybody that was killed in the Pacific that didn't have a place to go is buried right here in this. It's like called the Pacific Memorial Theater Cemetery, or it's got an official title. Excuse me. We were actually very fortunate to be able to be part of this too, and we had all 300 young Marines there, and the ones you see in Charlie's up there on the steps. My daughter's one of those. It was sweltering hot.
Hang on. A lot of people don't know what that means. He's talking about the people way up on the steps, and they're not their full dress, but they're
it's a short sleeve khaki shirt, green pants. It's the service C uniform. We just call them Charlies or Chucks.
Yeah. It's not the guys
my daughter's up there.
It's not the guys in the foreground. It's the guys way up there in the steps in the pseudo dress uniform.
Yeah. And so we got to be part of that. We met a lot of great people there. I think there's a slide of that coming up here shortly. Really cool place. I mean, really somber type event, and just amazing to be a part of that ceremony. And they do this every year. Every year this goes down.
Okay, here we go. Definitely not in dress uniform anymore.
Definitely not dress uniform. This was a shirt that the Young Marines provided. It was a T-shirt just for this year, Pearl Harbor. They were doing a beach cleanup at North Beach in K Bay, and all the trash you see is them carrying that back. So there's a lot more there than what's in that picture. I think in our particular section of that beach, they kind of strategically placed them all over different beaches on the base. and they had an environmental. I don't know what his official title is, but he was a retired Marine that took over, basically being the environmental leader of this base. So he's all about the sea lions there, like anything that's environmental, he is keeping track of. And he's like, hey, I put you guys strategically in certain areas. This is how many we need here. This is how many we need here. We're gonna supply the trash bags. He was supposed to supply gloves, but they never showed up because it wouldn't be a Marine Corps event if things didn't show up as they were supposed to. And these kids just, I mean, picked the hell out of that trash, dude. I mean, they cleaned that beach as well as they could, and leave it better than you found it. Well, they left it way better than they found it.
That's good. That's good. That's cool. And here's another view. I'm assuming maybe a little bit, maybe afterwards, or what do we got here?
That was we did. I was actually, you're exactly right. It was right afterwards. We were going to have a picnic type thing with another unit at a beach just off base called I don't remember what the beach was called, but it's that place you see in the island in the background, that little place. That's actually called Chinaman's Hat. That's what everybody there calls it. I'm not being a racist or anything. It's just called Chinaman's Hat. And we sat there and had a picnic. They got to play in the water for a while. I mean, like I said, as much as this was a service trip and an educational trip and all that, there was definitely some relaxation. These kids got to enjoy Hawaii too.
Hey, I just got to throw you guys
like
under the bus. Your beach cleanup wasn't as good as you said it was, because I still see I think about 7 leaves on the grass there. So I see a handful of leaves.
We were lacking a flamethrower operator, and we met him later, but we could have fixed that. Yeah.
I think we have a picture. Stay tuned, boys and girls. Okay, moving on. And then here, of course, we got to have the customary, dad and daughter photo.
Yeah, my daughter and I, she likes selfies, and I like to set up pictures, like to set my tripod up. She's more of a let's just do a selfie, and she's way better at it than I am. But I was posting a picture. We were out on some lava rock there and some coral, and it was part of a sightseeing trip. The very first day we got there, somebody booked us a quick bus tour and basically got us acclimated to the island so we could see stuff to do for the rest of the week when we had some downtime. And we just got to go out and hang out on this little island for the guy would literally stop and say, hey, you got 15 minutes. And we'd go 15 minutes somewhere and come back. Or sometimes it was 30 minutes. You just never knew. And that's proof that I can smile too.
Yeah. Well, hang on. So there's 2 pictures. No, I had to cut one out. That's right, because of the size.
Okay.
So there's another picture you have of this from a different angle, and there's a ton of people around it. So what are we looking at here? This is
me. I'm trying to think of what it's officially called, because it's got official titles to all these things. But this, I think, was a gift. From what I remember, it was a gift. And if I screw this up, God, don't come at me. I believe it was a gift from China, and it was it's a replica of a Buddhist, what do you call it, like a Buddhist temple. And this thing's it's a full replica of something over there, but it's not functional. Like, nobody inhabits it. There's no monks there. There's nothing going on there. There's no, services going on there or worshiping of any kind. It's a replica, and it's open to visit. And I think it's called the Valley of the Temples or something like that. We passed it several times after we visited, but they've got a giant koi pond. You can go up and ring the gong with this big hanging, this log. A lot of cool stuff to do there, and really beautiful. I mean, very well done, but also, who knows? I think it was donated in like the 50s.
Well, I mean, just the scenery. I mean, that koi pond in the foreground, the manicured, but then the forestry behind it with that just steep knife ridge line back there.
And that's not photoshopped or added to. I mean, that's my shitty Google Pixel phone. Just that's that picture, man. I mean, it's a beautiful location.
So again, you're one of the young Marines, and this is and you've maybe never left home, and you're seeing this shit,
Yeah. I hope it inspires a lot of these kids to want to travel, whether they join the military and do it, or whether they do it, philanthropy or however they want to do it later in life. I hope they really want to travel because of this. All
right. Another obligatory, father-daughter. What do we got here?
I think this one was right after that hike. I think we did the hike with the young Marines up the mountain there, and I think we stepped off to take this picture. Um, I believe that's what this is. But it was another father-daughter picture, man. I mean, we've got a bunch of these, and I know one day I'm going to look back and think we don't have enough still.
Hey, Gerhard, if that was you, you could have been wearing the frog skin rucksack. All right. Now, more probably from that static display day,
Yep.
probably safer than an Osprey. Osprey, what is that? Is that the V22? Is that what it's called?
I think the Osprey is the V22, if I remember right. It was phased in right after I was getting out. Yeah.
Vertical takeoff and landing. Yeah.
Which, go figure, the Army's making a version now that's probably a lot safer, and the Marine Corps is probably going to adopt it when it phases out. Yeah.
Well, hey, you know what? But on a serious note, that airframe does need to be improved. I mean, so it's a badass idea, but it definitely. If you don't know what we're talking about, boys and girls, it is one of those pieces of military hardware where you probably have better odds in Vegas. I mean, it's just
it seems like one of those things that somebody's like maybe thrown some money at to make it go through, and then it just happens to be in service, and now nobody can figure out why.
Yeah. All right. So, but what are we looking at here? Part of that static display?
Yeah, man, this guy, I liked this. I really did. I was an infantryman, but I really loved this because they had water filtration. They had these guys that loaded heavy equipment, or that ran heavy equipment and loaded like Connex boxes onto vehicles and things. They had minesweepers. They had all kind of people out there that weren't just grunts, that were showing these kids options and things that they do in the field. And this guy was cool enough. Now, he had it parked; he couldn't move, but he was running it was kind of like a front end loader thing that's set up to move Connex boxes. I don't know what it's actually called. And I took a close up picture of that. You see that little seal that's on his window? It's like a bison. He had, I think that's his unit insignia. I don't know, but I took a close up picture of it just because it was a bison. And he was actually showing my daughter how to operate this thing. Now, they didn't pick up an actual Connex box, but they went through the motions, lifted the boom, extended the arms on it, like ran the clamps. I mean, he did everything that he could do without actually picking up a box. And it was really cool. And he was totally cool with anybody that wanted to jump up there. He took his time with them. He was like, I got all day. I'm getting paid for this,
Well, that's just what it is too. I've got all day. I'm here no matter what. So I'm going to make this work for me,
Yeah.
All right. Now, hang on. No, so before you jump in this, there's two photos here of this. So here's the stand back so everybody can see the actual monument. And we've already kind of, so matter of fact, you already mentioned your daughter got promoted in front of this, right? So, but we didn't talk about the monument. You kind of said it's like, their kind of EWO monument, but you want to go into a little bit more detail on what we're looking at?
Yeah, man, all around that. And you could see the rainbow inside there too. That was cool, like on the background. That's part of why I took that picture. And I've got one I was going to send you, and it's got the flag actually moving on it. Like it was like a 4-second clip of that flag moving. Really beautifully well done entrance to the gate at K Bay. So anybody that's ever been stationed there probably knows this monument. I don't know how long it's been there. It's a replica of the actual Marine Corps monument there, but I don't know to what scale. I mean, it's probably a third of the size, maybe. I don't know. The guys were all still bigger than me. They were probably like 8 foot, 9 foot, overall. But on the sides of it, it's got everything that took place in Hawaii leading up to the invasion of Iwo Jima. It's got the after effects. It's got on the side, I think that you can see to the left there, it's got a little bit of a tribute to the native Hawaiians and the people that lived there already, kind of to say thank you for their service and the part they played in sending our Marines off to that particular battle. But it has all the divisions that took place in it that were stationed there. Just beautiful monument, just really well done.
Well, and what a perfect day to catch it with that rainbow too. I mean, that's
man. And like I said, and then my daughter gets promoted in front of it later, I think 2 days later there.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And then this would have been
that's entrance. That Pacific Memorial. I'm going to screw the name up thing again. And it's also, like I said, it's a cemetery. It's a functional cemetery, but it's also, you feel like you're at a national monument. That's just a tribute to these men and women that gave their lives for this particular war.
And, for the boys and girls watching, if you've never been in any one of our national cemeteries or any of our national, like these type of national monuments, there is just such a sense of, glory and dignity and
And
history.
reverence, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
reverence. Yep. So, you're just coming into this area and, and you can see that, that amphitheater, the monument, the punch bowl, down ways. I mean, you're just already being filled with awe, so again, imagine what those tadpoles, those young kids were feeling as they're rolling up to this lane. Holy shit.
If you actually go to this, if you just type up Hawaii or Honolulu Punch Bowl, it has the official title of this in there, but it also has the history. And dude, everything in Hawaii, I really appreciated this. Everything in Hawaii, I'm sure some native Hawaiian is probably like, no, fucker, they left this out or whatever. But everything traces back the lineage of what it meant to the Hawaiian people prior to us getting there and being given this piece of land. They really did very well with documenting everything from way back, like thousands of years ago, to like King Kamehameha, who's attributed to so much around that island, to up to the current, to the final king that we took over from. But I mean, they really do very well with that. There's an army museum. I will say I did walk through it, so you're welcome. I walked through there and I checked it out, and they had like stuff that Native Hawaiians used in their battles for territory in that island, and they had tribute to them. So it wasn't just the U.S. Army; it was the Army of Hawaii, basically, all the way through to current U.S. Army.
Yeah, that's pretty badass. All right, now there's two slides here. Okay, you kind of were mentioning this gentleman, and this had some important. Yeah. Here we see, so when you mentioned the C's, like the letter C, so again, a uniform, you can see these, your daughter and the other Seymour Marines in the C's, and it's not the official dress, but it's kind of like the duty wear dress, there you want to. But they're talking to this gentleman right here. You want to talk us through what we're seeing here?
Yeah, I don't know his official capacity there, but I believe he was a retired Marine Corps colonel. Reed was his last name, but I can't remember his first name. I spoke with his wife a lot longer than I did him because he was interested in talking to kids. He was all about, he went through every kid. What does this mean to you to be here? All of our units. So all 15 of our kids, he went down the chain and asked them. But he's a retired Marine now. He's based in Washington, of course, and now he comes out here for this every year, and he kind of runs this whole thing. I don't know if he's over this memorial or what he does, but like I said, hats off to him for allowing us to be part of this. And he was very, very engaged in every one of these kids. If they stopped and talked to him, he even came out the next day for the ceremony that I told you on K-Bay. He came out for that, and he talked to a lot of kids again. He just kept going at him. He's like, man, this is why I do what I do. And I think he was retired Marine Colonel Reed was his name.
Okay. Now, this is before that ceremony at that monument, right? We're way down.
It was actually right after. Yeah, after it was all done, everybody kind of spread out. They did a photo op with these. There was an airman, there was a Marine, and there was a. I'm gonna screw it up because I didn't meet this gentleman very well, but I think he was a soldier.
Well, so all I was just trying to point out to people is where you saw the picture earlier, and then you just saw just more recently from the very entrance, but this is the punch bowl. They're up on the stairs where the ceremony had taken place. And so, you kind of can see, and you see all the young Marines there, and then you see in the foreground. And, so this is kind of what I wanted to come up to is like, so what do we got going on here?
So that's kneeling down. That's Steve Green. He's the recruit instructor for our young Marine unit. So he's a cop here, local. He runs the recruit detachment for us. So every recruit who comes through gets to talk to him. He guides them for 13 weeks of leadership, and I help him, but I'm not much help, I'll say. And then myself, and then right there is, I mean, if you don't know this guy, go look him up. He is a fucking legend. Don Graves. He was Corporal Don Graves. He was a Iwo Jima survivor. He's got a really cool story. I think Black Rifle Coffee, and he was on Sean Ryan's podcast fairly recently. He was a flamethrower operator in World War II, and really humble individual, is unapologetic about the things he did in war. But you can tell from the other things he talks about in war, and especially that battle in particular, he has a very high value on human life. And everything I read about this dude and have watched since, I'm just like, holy cow, I can't believe I met that guy. Because it was a happenstance. I met him a couple days prior, or a day prior, at that Iwo Jima Memorial at K-Bay. I just happened to wander up on them and got our young Marines to meet him. And then he showed up at this thing. Really cool dude. He took the mic, talked to our kids for a while, told them what they were doing was bigger than them. They'll never know the impact they have. I mean, just really positive guy, and devoted his life. I mean, however you want to look at it, he, whatever you worship, he devoted his life to Christ not long after, like about 8 years after he got off Iwo. He really changed his life and turned himself around too.
Yeah. Well, so again, just the history, the things that very few of us will ever get to experience. Those kids, you guys made it possible, or helped make it possible for those kids to get out there and meet individuals like this. And that's just badass. And I'm not talking about Murphy and the other gentleman. I'm talking about
this guy. This guy, man. He, like I said, I think at 98 years old, he could still kick my ass. He was full of piss and vinegar, and he sat down and talked to every one of those kids. As long as they wanted to talk to him, he would talk to them. And then he had to go eventually. He's like, I got to go. So it's like, I'm a high demand guy, but he talked to him as long as he could.
All right. Now we got two more coming up here. We got the action photo, and then we got the where we're going. So what are we looking at here?
So that's the Mighty Mo, man. That's the USS Missouri. That's so one of the things I got to learn about this was when we went on there, I didn't know that ship wasn't actually present during the bombing of Pearl Harbor. I always thought it was there and it survived, and they kept it in service to basically, a big FU to the Japs, and it wasn't that at all. It was more of they built this ship, they commissioned it after the fact, and we got to tour it. And I'll tell you this, I wasn't prepared for this. I spent I was on two different ships with the Navy as a Marine. And when I went inside this ship, I know it was decommissioned after the Gulf War and all this stuff. And it was I think it was the first ship to fire a Tomahawk cruise missile from it during the Gulf War. And man, when I went inside there, you would think it's still a functional ship. It's set up like a museum, but I feel like it wouldn't take much to get this thing back in service. And when I walked in there, like they say, smell is one of the fastest triggers to a memory. Good God, that is still a ship in every respect. When I walked down below the deck, I was like, it hit me. I was like, holy shit. I was waiting for somebody to call me shipmate. Like, I was just waiting for it. I was like, man, this feels like I'm back on the USS Denver or the Bonhoeffer Shard. Like, it felt oddly current. It was weird. And then that's a replica of a 50 cal that they've set up. It's deconned big time. Like, it had the slide cut in half. I mean, there's no way you could get this thing to work right there that day without multiple days of preparation. But my daughter wanted to pose with it, and she's firing the firearm from the deck of the ship.
Yeah, but not really, people. I mean,
no, not at all.
Yeah,
it's even got the little red stupid plug on the end.
Yeah, well, that's why I added this slide with all the little fluff on the side. Just like, no, it's not a real machine gun. She's not hanging out behind a mod deuce. I mean, it's a mod deuce, but it's not functional.
And the trigger, the butterfly still works. You can still flip the side up, but you can't. I mean, nothing's moving out of that thing. There's no way.
All right, now hang on. I think we've got So we got another group of two slides here. So okay, so I'm pretty right. Are these the same event? Is that what
those are the same event? Those two right there are the same event. Yeah.
Okay, so talk to us. What do we got going on here then?
That is downtown. I can't remember what the park's name is. It's a like a square or a park downtown in Honolulu. They staged this big parade, and our young Marines got to be a part of it. It's open. They do this every year. It's a giant parade that happens to commemorate, Pearl Harbor and what happened there. And man, people came out in droves. I mean, I was not prepared for this. It was almost like a victory parade that happened after we got back. Like, after the Marines would have got back from Pearl Harbor or, like Iwo Jima or something, or after maybe even World War II and victory was declared, it was the same kind of crowd. It was just, I mean, probably hundreds, if not thousands of people lined the streets for about a mile and a half. and our young Marines got to be a part of it and walk in it with the entire group of young Marines that showed up. So there were like 300 young Marines. Some of them were tasked with doing things like holding banners for other groups that came in. Some of them, most of them were in that group walking. And then there was some of them holding floats that were, built just for this. I mean, they really put them into service, and man, they got a real sense of like what it was to, what this city still remembers and what they still hold dear.
Well, and I'm just from a personal note, one of the things I was able to knock off of my bucket list was a D-Day, going to Normandy for actual D-Day celebrations during that D-Day period, that June 6th. And so just to kind of what you said, just kind of brought a memory back for me, because like the local populace really embraces it, right? And you felt like, so kind of what you're saying, I can imagine that, like what that must have kind of felt like for all those kids being there and a part of that, and being part of a group, a town, a city, a citizenry, whatever, but that's actually coming together and honoring that. It had to have just felt unbelievable, like, holy shit.
It was crazy. I mean, we're 80 something years after, and people are still treating this like it happened almost yesterday.
Yeah.
And and man, you get so much education from this stuff. You go to all these little side museums that are attached to these main monuments, like the whole Arizona and Missouri have little side museums that are devoted to maybe the submarine there, or the air power at the time, and you can go to all those for free, and it's a national park, and you go to these places and you're like, man, there's so much more you don't think. And I told my daughter, I said, it's easy to see how some of these guys that some people consider dorks get wrapped up in the history of one particular battle or one particular event that shaped something. I can totally see it. I see how it can happen, because you can get wrapped up in the minute details that somebody thankfully enshrined somewhere and said, this is what one of the torpedoes that would have hit one of our ships looked like. It's been blown apart in different pieces, and we constructed what it looked like on the inside. And you're like, well, why do you need to know that? But somebody somewhere said, I wonder what one looks like on the inside. And then somebody else said, I'll show you. I mean, that kind of stuff's amazing,
Yeah. Yeah. And it's necessary to maintain that history, because that is still part of that history, all the way down to those details.
Yeah.
Okay. Second to last slide. What do we got here?
I believe I don't know if that's the anchor. I think the sailor that operated the shuttle out to the Arizona, I don't know what they call the ship officially, but it's actually a still active duty unit of sailors that operate the shuttle out to the Arizona. He told us that was one of the anchors that was blown. I want to forget how far he said this thing was blown. When the ship was blown up, it went like, I think he said like 30 meters completely out of the water and came down, and that thing was blown like 2,000 meters away from the ship, that anchor, when it was bombed. So we got our picture taken in front of it. That anchor has been repainted and reconstructed, and somebody can watch this and tell me I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's the one he said was on display. And that's our young Marines doing it. Yep.
Yeah. And then here we go. Last picture. And probably want to, if you don't know the explosion and everything, you do you if you want to, learn the history, but probably one of the most iconic, in my humble opinion, memorials. What do we got here, Murph?
Man, that's the USS Arizona Memorial. It is it's a national park. It's operated by the Park Service and the Navy. The Navy runs the shuttle to it. They ferry people back and forth. Like I said, active sailors are still doing that. And then the National Park Service is involved because it is a national park, but it's also still leaking from the hull of that sunken ship. I want to say like 10 quarts of oil a day into the water. So they maintain that environmentally. They contain that, and they monitor all that stuff, man. It is a somber experience. I honestly, like I said, I wasn't there, right? Like, this is way older than me. I wasn't there, but I found myself damn near moved to tears. And I think I did shed a few tears walking onto that monument. You just think of these sailors, there's almost 1,200 people basically buried there. Yeah. Like they're forever in that hull of that ship. And these kids got to see that, and I had to give them. They do a very good job of prepping you for it, but I had to give them a little extra uh, enforcement on it. I just said, you know, seriously, be prepared that this isn't just a cool sunken boat. It's anything but. It's like I said, this is the final resting place of almost 1,200 sailors and Marines in that ship, and civilian contractors as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. All right. Hey, boys and girls. Just wanted to do a follow up. Murph was kind enough to, take the time out of his day. It was, some people have been asking me for a follow up, and I'm not going to make any excuses, but life is life, and there's a million things going on. And Murph and so I was actually putting in snaps in gear today, and I sent Murph a message like, "Hey, brother, give me a holler when you get a chance." He works during the day too. Like I figured I'd hear from him tonight, and we would coordinate this. And he called me like I'm like, dude, you never called me right away, not during the middle of the workday, and we put this together and said, hey, well, let's just do this tonight then. So I would have done this as a live. I apologize. I already have all the lives for the rest of the year kind of taken care of it. And I didn't want to push this off anymore. No excuse. It's all on me. Didn't really get much of a chance to address it last week. So wanted to follow up as quickly as possible. And when you guys just got back, what, like a few days ago, right?
11:30 yesterday afternoon. So yeah. You're not exactly out of the time frame of us going. I mean, we hadn't even, we just got back. I still haven't completely unpacked. Yeah.
Yeah, you still got jet lag and all kinds of shit.
Yeah, my daughter definitely got a firsthand introduction to jet lag. I've never been jet lagged. I hate flying anymore. But she got jet lag big time. She came home and went to sleep last night and slept till about 9 o'clock. And then this morning she wanted to stay home from school because she was so tired. I'm like, time change, travel, kid, you earned it. I mean, that's just what happens. Like, you just got to go with it.
Well, that's awesome. So I'm glad, and actually I didn't know you guys came back yesterday. I thought you came back the day before, but so that's even better. So, well, there it is. So we, this wasn't late. This was planned exactly. We had to give these guys time to recuperate.
You planned this exactly right. Yeah, you got us fresh off the boat.
Yeah, but it worked out perfectly. So, hey, thanks to Murph again for taking the time to share those pictures, review everything with us. For the guys and gals who've been reaching out, wanting an update, God bless you guys for staying on top of it. And Murph, I think that also just shows, like a lot of people were really interested, and a lot of people wanted to hear how, the tadpoles were doing and how the kids and how was the trip and everything. And I, look, and I haven't been on Instagram and posts and stuff, so I didn't really see anything that you posted, couldn't really repost it. So thank you very much for taking the time to share that and walk us all through that and give us an overview of how it went. And on that note, hey, final comments. What are your final parting words now that you're back? How did it go? What do you want to share with everybody as a last thoughts on that, on just honestly, just epic opportunity for those young men and women to get out there and spend time in Pearl and be exposed and a part of such an awesome experience. That's how I have a hard time even trying to imagine and verbalize what it probably was like for those kids.
Man, I don't know. I was there and got to see these kids go firsthand, and I'm like, I know each one of them to a degree understood as best they can at 8 to 18 years old what they were looking at and being a part of. And maybe I'm being a little biased here because I'm around these kids all the time, but they're a little bit higher caliber than your average kid that just gets to go see something historic. I mean, they're taught a lot of reverence for a lot of these events and a lot of the sacrifice that these men and women have made. So they kind of get it maybe a little more, but they definitely all took away something from it, and they came together stronger as a unit. To me, that was the cool thing, because a lot of these kids, they see each other once every week on drill, and that's what we call it. They go to drill once a week. They see each other for a few hours at a time, and maybe they do some things through the week, some color guards or something like that together, or maybe an encampment or two. But honestly, this was a bonding trip for them too. I mean, they got so much more time to get to know each other. It's very well ran. Our unit commander and his wife and every volunteer, honestly, is very selfless. They so many extra volunteer hours go into this. And I mean, I can't say enough good about this program. And I wish I'd have known about it when I was younger. But this program has been around since the 50s. And if you, so like I said, again, thank you for donating. Everybody that donated, everybody that showed interest in this and came back and did a follow up. But also, if you want to help locally, check out youngmarines.com, I think it is, or .org. And there's probably a unit locator by you, and you can go help out. You can donate. You can buy meat sticks from them because they're always fundraising. They do a lot of fundraising year round for everything they do. I mean, they're funded, but when I say they're funded by the government. So they're not funded well, they're just funded. But see if you have a unit by you and see if you can help out. Maybe you have some skills that you can teach these kids. Maybe you're a first responder and you're like, hey, I'll do the CPR for you guys. So you're all CPR certified. Maybe maybe you've got some money you want to throw at them, or, who knows? Maybe you got some memorabilia that you're like, hey, this was my grandpa's and I don't know where to put it. Maybe you guys can host it in your unit headquarters. Who knows? I mean, there's something you can do for these kids that will resonate and ripple for generations.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much for, coming on, sharing that. And as Murph said, huge shout out to everybody who was able to participate in the charity auction that we did. Again, for whether you bought tickets or whether you went and made your own donation. And then as Murph said, and I think something that, really trying to push is like, hey, okay, you missed this one. Get out there and do something, right? Like the world doesn't always have to be such a horrible place. We can all get off our asses and then try to make it a little bit brighter. So, yeah. I guess I kind of, I'm glad we didn't do this as a live, because this would have had to have been like, we'd
have been derailed.
We'll revisit this in January and we'll do some kind of like, this could be a good Cialis after dark. Because this would have just been like, we could have drawn this out for, hey, I just got to throw this out there. Last Friday, we talked for 4 hours. Dude, you've talked to me on the phone before. You know how old and tired and, I had like 3 glasses of wine. It was 4 hours later. I'm like falling asleep in my chair and there were still people watching. So God bless all of you, boys and girls who put up with this nonsense, donate to these awesome charities and support these causes. And Murph and I we'll definitely do something in January. I'll talk him into something. It won't be hard to do.
It's not hard to talk me into it.
No, it won't be hard. But thanks for watching it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave comments down below, and we'll try to answer those. And Murph can always come over and answer too if you got specific comments. But go back and see the previous videos, because we did put out the info for the Young Marines and Seymour Young Marines, and you can see that stuff. But if or just leave a comment here and we'll try to answer it in the comment section. And that's all I got. Last little comment. I'll try to do a better job tomorrow on social media. I'm going to post this video here tonight. It's Wednesday, the 12th of the 11th of December. But tomorrow's live stream and Friday's Cialis After Dark are moved to 1800. 1800 Central is our new start time for our Thursday and Friday lives. We'll have Murph over here in January for Friday. Hey, boys and girls, we'll see you tomorrow night on the live stream. It's going to be about Christmas movies. That's right. Tomorrow's live is Christmas movies. Friday, Cialis After Dark. We're going to talk about an unfortunate series of events, and we're going to talk about the bombing of Khost and the fiasco that was Benghazi. I'll be bringing on Patrick and DB for that. So, have a little fun talking Christmas movies, and then we'll have a serious conversation talking about how effed up those events were. So, Murph, final comments. What do you got for us, sir? Hey, show off the guns and the frog skin.
Oh, dude, I'm telling you, this frog skin's awesome, dude. I'm loving this shirt. It's I don't know if you want me to plug another company here, but it's Zero Foxtrot. And
I don't make shirts. Plug them away.
No, but I mean, it's a comfortable shirt. It's like their field shirt or something. I love this thing. Of course, this is just a Marine Corps issue beanie because it's a little chilly down here. And then, dude, it's a field shirt. It's lightweight. It's comfortable. It's got a weird zipper pockets. I just found. You probably heard me running the zippers. Like, what is that? And it's a zippered pocket. Like it's almost like you would use it for upland game hunting or something. I don't know. But I went with an XL, and it's about perfect sizing. So yeah. but it's a pretty cool shirt. Right, but anyway, last comment, you said,
yeah,
like you said, Christmas movies coming up. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, all you folks. Hope you have a great new year, and I will see y'all in January.
Yeah, right on. All right, my good man, I'm going to take us out. So as always, boys and girls, if you got questions, reach out, do the best I can, even if I'm just pushing over to Murph. Murph is on Instagram as Murph Nuge. Go check out his content over there. See some of the other videos and the other, he just puts out good content. Matter of fact, Murph, next month I'll redo that. Well, we'll talk offline, that video,
okay.
that link that you did. So maybe that's something we'll bring up, but okay. But if you got questions, comments, reach out. And until then, you know the deal. We'll see you tomorrow night on our normal Thursday Night Live. We're going to talk Christmas movies. Friday at Cialis After Dark, we're going to talk about the coast bombing and the fiasco that was Benghazi, bringing in some guys with knowledge firsthand. We'll just join us, former agency guys. We'll sit and talk about that stuff. And until then, keep thinking, keep moving, never quit. And one last time, huge shout out to everybody who helped make this. We did our small part, raised some cash, got those kids over to Pearl. So my hat's off to each and every one of you. God bless. Really appreciate it. And we'll see you guys hopefully tomorrow night on the live stream. All right, everybody, take care. Be good. Woo!